I want to give a shout out to former Congressman Bill Sass. I hope I'm saying his name right. For this absolute masterpiece that you see sitting on this screen right now. And see, since I'm an avid reader, I can call this piece of literary work an absolute modern masterpiece. Because for what we see going on in the United States right now, this book is going to go down in the next 20 to 40 years as one of the biggest reminders of how far America has fallen and how far the ideal of the fairy tale coddling of our children, whether male or female, with the trophies for everyone, with the oh my God, we can't punish them now. They can talk to their teachers any kind of way and do no wrong. There are no standards. This book right here stands out as the book that you need to buy or go find at some thrift store right now if there are copies of it. I finished it last week, but that will be there'll be many weeks before you guys get to this recording. So right now it's January 31st, but you all will have gotten this weeks after January 31st. I am telling you, we are living in this era of Peter Pan where none of these people want to act their age. No one wants to grow up. And that book embodies that. So I encourage you to go and buy a copy of that book. See, if you go and research the story of Peter Pan, we all know how this goes, right? Everybody around Peter grows up, no matter how many variations of this story. And even Ben Sass touches on this. Eventually, Wendy, the girl of whom he would love to be with and has unrequited love for him, realizes she can never have him because he's too selfish. The Lost Boys, who were his crew, all grow up. But little old Peter Pan never grows. Look, this is going to be a relatively quick video, but I'm not encouraging you not to give up that childlike spirit inside of you. But there's a difference between being whimsical and having a childlike spirit and an effervescence that makes you happy, that makes you do the most beautiful things, that makes you feel like a kid again, than actually be a grown somebody in a grown body with a child's mentality. Peter Pan is a representation of just how messed up, when you read this go back and read the story, how this generation is, because these kids don't want to grow up. They don't want to do grown things. They live for the now. They live for an overwhelming sense of whimsy. Like there is no caution, just live for today because tomorrow doesn't matter. And I'm hoping Mr. Richard Burns is watching this, because he's the catalyst for this series. And I think it was fate for me to have just picked up Ben Sass's book over the holidays in 2023 and started reading it at the same time that I contemplated doing a series on fairy tales. See, a lot of these grown folks with a grown body and a kid's mentality are living in a fantasy land. And within this fantasy, they are convincing themselves that they don't have to take responsibility. And you see, the problem with Peter Pan, the story, is that the story itself is just a nice story about childhood and a cautionary tale. Because all the Lost Boys grew up, Wendy Darling grew up and became a mother, and in some variations of that story, Peter stayed a child even after me, and even met Wendy's granddaughter. Those people went on to find happiness as adults. The problem with this generation is that a whole lot of Peter Pans are walking around here. I visited a discount grocery store, and there was a nice older gentleman there. I won't put his name out, that I had met in mid 2022. I don't think he works there anymore because I hadn't seen him in a while, but I hadn't been back substantially much late last year either. But he quit showing up way before then, so he may have found another job. Some younger person, just out of the blue, when he was at that register, was like, "Do you like working this low minimum wage job?" I'm paraphrasing. Mind you, the kid who was talking down to him had to be way under 30 years old and admitted that he didn't have no job. He said, "How dare him come in here with me, talk down to me for making this minimum wage? He has no job, he ain't in school, and has no ambition. This is how bad Peter Pan has gotten out of hand." That kid thought he could walk up to that older man at that register and denigrate him for having the nerve to work several small jobs to take care of his family when he's in his 20s at his greatest capacity and capable, and refuses to get a job. But that was Peter Pan. Every time someone tries to address the issue, they go and giggle and go back into their childlike state, because adulting is just a difficult thing now. They all want to be coddled. They all deserve something that wasn't given to them, or they want a continuation of a childhood that went away long time ago. The saddest part of this, if any of you are listening, y'all remember that grown man who was 30 years old, whose parents coddled him so bad, and this happened a couple of years ago, they had to take their grown 30-year-old son to court to get him to move out of their house. Now that's Peter Pan on steroids right there. That story is a classic example of what the United States is becoming right now. Sometimes I used to blame our materialism. No, this is solely on the parents. When you bring a child into this world, you are responsible for their rearing. Once upon a time, I wanted to be an astronaut until I got old enough to understand that I ain't that scientifically smart. That's why I became a historian. Okay, that's one of the reasons. Don't let me offend nobody, because I know some of y'all know me. I've always loved history. Let me quit playing. Everybody go through a stage where they're Prince Charming, where they're Paul Bunyan and have Babe the Blue Ox, where they're Peter Pan, where they're Cinderella, Snow White. That is a phase. When it becomes your life as you've gotten older, that is a problem. Because we can't have a nation full of Peter Pans running hospitals in the future, becoming police officers, firefighters, nurses, garbage men, politicians, even a president. Peter Pan, in theory, was a cute story that you should have heard in childhood, that should have been a cautionary tale to you. You shouldn't have been Peter Pan for real. Well, okay, that's my rant. Y'all go look up the story again. There's different variations on it. Look, I can't be the only person that sees that these kids are living this fairy tale and don't want to grow up. It's just something bad going on in the United States right now. This entitlement is off on fleek. But Ben Sass's book, again, this masterpiece, y'all got to go read it. So much so that I already gave it to a friend and passed it on to her and hope she passes it on to someone else. And notice, and knowing my greedy behind, I just might buy it again and put it on my shelf as one of the best reads. Well, all right. I'm glad you all stopped by and listened. Hope you enjoyed this video in the fairy tale series. Have a great day.